Yo folks, and welcome to the channel. My name is Bork. In today's video, we'll be talking about a beginner's guide for Blue Archive. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. First things being is the account level right here. You can see it's going to be 25. Now the reason why I point that out and it's so important is because our students or our characters, our waifus, their max level will be 25 and they cannot exceed that. So if I go into level up right here, I cannot level them up any further. And that is so important because this is going to be the biggest progression gate within the game. So when you try to jump into campaign right here, you will note that a lot of the characters will essentially have difficult times to complete the stages. Some of you might be wondering, is it gear? Is it skill level? No, a majority of the time it's going to be levels. So you can see right here, this is going to be a sub stage. I like these because essentially you just get to run 4 characters. And just note my formation right here. It's very important. I have 2 tanks, Amy and Tsubaki, and then I have my 2 healers right here. So this is more of like a PvE setup. And then I have like Yori right here. And then I also have Hina right here as well. Now, the reason why I have it like this is because you want 2 tanks so that most of the aggro goes to them. You can run 1 tank, but the issue is usually they get too much aggro on them, they take too much damage, and one of them dies. So you don't have to use Amy. I actually have my other tank built up. It's going to be Yuka. I actually recommend her, and Yuka is a free character, and Tsubaki easily acquirable as a 2-star. So the only character that I recommend folks pounding for is going to be someone like Yori. Even though she's a sniper, you can see right here, she pretty much one-shots all the different units that are on board. You can see Hina, she's just sort of like an artillery. She's not really necessary in my opinion. The most important part are the 2 tanks in the front. So you can see like all of the enemy units, they're aiming for our tanks right here, and Yori and Hina can just rain fire on the back line. So that's the most important thing. And whenever Tsubaki takes too much damage, Amy will jump forward and take some damage as well. So it's sort of like a give and take sort of method that I like to do here. And just note that Amy does not have a taunt, like this character right here, the pink hair, and then Tsubaki does have a taunt. So whenever Amy takes too much damage, essentially Tsubaki can take on the role. And it can work the same way with Yuka. Yuka does not have like a taunt ability. Yuka is very similar to Amy in the sense that she just regains her HP. So I recommend like sort of this route when you're building your PvE teams, only for like story progression. In actual raid progression, it's gonna be different. You're gonna want to have like, you know, a little bit more DPS and maybe 1 tank. But this is the best way to essentially flow through PvE through story, because when I was running through 1 tank, Tsubaki would die way too quickly and would cause so many issues while I was running through the game. So right there, we got the victory. Very nice. Love to see it. And essentially, we get to increase our relationship points at the cafe. So what's most important here is you can see I get plus 10 to my account level. I get some, you know, pyroxenes. That's going to be like the premium currency or like the currency of the game, or do summons and stuff. And just note, my biggest recommendation is of course refreshing your stamina up to 3 times a day. Very similar to Princess Connect again, and just go up to the point where it's 3 refreshes. If you're going hardcore, I have my spreadsheets as always, and you can do up to 6 refreshes, or if you don't care, you just YOLO refresh until you hit 100 pyroxene per day, and then you just spam your stamina essentially at the different stages, whether it's commission or gear accumulation. And you can see right here, there's a little infographic that I like to pretty much showcase. So now that we're back at the home screen, let's go back into our students right here and then check out Hina. Now the reason why it's so important is I want to talk about what we upgrade first between characters. So obviously you want to level them up to level 25 or the highest level that they could possibly go to, and then you want to level up their actual gear. So this is important because if they have, you know, attack plus 13%, that's insane, and of course more HP means they're gonna have a greater chance to survive. And then when it comes to like these little faces right here, this is actually really important in the game. So you can see like as we scroll down right here, there are different moods, and depending on the different moods, you can actually get more damage. So if they have like an upset face or a down face in certain areas, they will deal less damage. So for example, in these terrains, I think this is city and then mountainous areas, they will get like less damage, or she will perform less damage. I'm talking about Yori. And I guess in like this little housing one, she will perform more damage. And it's the opposite for Hina, where she performs better in the city and she doesn't perform better in like mountainous and then home regions. But you can see it's very interesting how each character performs. Ideally, you have someone like Tsubaki where she's like happy in 2 places and only unhappy in 1. Or you have someone like Yuka who's like perfectly balanced. In fact, I would almost appreciate someone who's like all yellow in my opinion. But let's go ahead and jump back into here. So another thing to notate is like the actual synergy info. So these are going to be like the different weakness charts, or you could say. So this is going to be an actual beginner's guide over here on like the Blue Archive Discord. And what I like about this is light armor armor is essentially only weak to red, or essentially explosive damage. And then piercing damage is essentially resistant against light armor, and then also siege is resistant. The only like damages that you need to really worry about is explosive, piercing, and mystic. We won't see siege for quite some time because no one can essentially deal siege damage for the most part. Those are very niche units. So this is why someone like Yuka is going to be important, because her attack type is going to be explosive, and then a majority of our DPS such as Hina is going to be explosive. But then we have characters like Yori who's going to be yellow damage, which is really good for piercing and essentially getting to those yellow enemies or enemies with yellow defense. And then we have special armor, of course, where Mystic is going to be absolutely needed. The best tank in the game right now is going to be Tsubaki in her own right, because she has special, or the blue color, for her defensive type. Now, another way to sort of look at this, in case you guys are wondering, because I was talking about it earlier, you should be spending a majority of your stamina within the campaign, right? We'll talk about what we need to farm, but the most important thing, like early on when you're like just sort of confused, you don't know what to do, jump into base defense right here and just spam your stamina here as well, because you could always use the EXP whenever you sort of need it. You can see like this little home icon, that's going to be perfect for certain characters. So you can see the modded sweeper right here is going to have heavy armor, so it's going to be really good to have someone like Yori or someone who has piercing damage, right? So you can essentially like jump back, you start the mission, and you're going to be like, oh, who do I select? Piercing. These two characters are perfect. People like Hina, they're not really the best, so if you look back at it here, you can see piercing damage is resistant to explosive damage. So ideally, when you go into heavy armor right here, you can see piercing is actually weak, and then explosive damage is normal. So you don't want to run any blue damage dealers or mystic damage dealers in the base defense area. It's just something to annotate in case you're like, oh, why is my Haruna not performing in base defense? That's because they're essentially resistance to blue damage. So that's going to be one of like the first areas that essentially you want to farm is base defense. And then after that, you want to go into your missions and actually start farming out the potential gear in each stage. This is going to be very important. So what do I mean by that? It's so similar to Princess Connect. I would almost say in some ways that Blue Archive is sort of like the 3D chibi version of Princess Connect. So you can see right here, when you're leveling up different units, they essentially want like certain tiered gear, right? So for example, you can only get this gear pieces at these certain stages, very reminiscent of Princess Connect. And what's funny is that only certain characters will have certain pieces of gear. So what do I mean by that? Yori or DPS people will have like these knitted hats, and then they'll have like hairpins and stuff. And then your tanks will essentially have like different pieces of gear where they'll have like shoes or essentially bags. Bags, obviously, they have like more HP on them. But another thing to note, there's going to be T3 gear that you can get later. And just note that when you upgrade different tiered gear, it's permanent on the character. And essentially it doesn't go onto different characters. So you can't be like, oh, my Tsubaki has like those UGG boots. Can I just put them on? No. So let's go ahead and auto select right here. You don't want to use the gray one right here. You can use like one of the blue ones. Essentially you spam the quantity so that you don't use like these EXP materials if you don't want to. And then you hit level up and it's like, oh yeah, Yuka, great job. Now she can upgrade to like the Shirling boots or the UGG boots. So it only goes to her. I can't just unequip my UGG boots from Tsubaki like I said earlier in order to essentially give them to her. It's just something to take into account. Gear is specific towards each character, and it's something that the game doesn't really explain, and I'm not exactly sure why. Next thing being is your cafe right here. This is kind of important because this is where you're gonna get a majority of your stamina. You can see right here, it's like, hey, I have 93 out of 110 stamina. If you go into your cafe earnings, you can get 1.57 stamina per hour. I guess after a while, you'll get 90 stamina, which is the max stamina that I can get for the cafe earnings. And then I get like 60,000 like cards and stuff. So that's going to be a really nice thing. It's very important to actually gift different characters, in my opinion, or you do an invitation. So for example, the character that I want to invite is going to be Yori, and then Yori is going to come down. You actually want to do this at least once per day, because this will actually increase their relationship with them, and you can do that through Momo Talk. You can see she has like a little heart right there, so that means Momo Talk or a relationship has moved forward. And you actually want to do this because this will actually level up your character's relationship level. That way they can get more stats. You can see since I'm relationship level 2, I actually get attack +3, so it's actually important you pay attention to that. And then when it comes to the lessons, I would like sort of spread it out evenly. Now this is based off of how many characters you've recruited per different area. So I need one more Gehenna student in order to unlock this area, and I need one more Abedeos. Abydos student in order to unlock this area. But as you can see here, I have like these areas unlocked, and the way it works is all you have to do is like essentially click them, you start the lesson, they do their thing, essentially your relationship goes up with them, right? And then you might level up like the hall and stuff, and since their relationship went up, then you get like more stats and stuff, and we unlock this area. And this is actually really important because we get to talk about Nonomi. She's going to be one of the free characters that you can actually get throughout the game, who's actually really good. So if you go into guide missions right here, this is going to be a way to get a free Nonomi. You know, as you go through like pretty much the game, I'm at day 7 right now, then I will essentially get rewards and eventually get her. So she's pretty good for like a lot of PvE sections, I was told. And yeah, that's like a majority of the things. There's like the clubs right here. Like I guess this is going to be like your guild mode, so that's pretty cool. There's going to be like crafting right here. Let's see. Let's do the first unlock. I've never seen this, so I'm kind of curious what this does. Oh, okay, so this is gonna be like different nodes and upgrading stuff. I'll look into this later. I don't really have much to say into this. It's not something that I'm currently focused on, at least for beginners. And then we have to, of course, talk about the shop. This is a way to essentially exchange different materials. Let's say you want to use like your coins for EXP rewards. By the way, I don't recommend this. You should probably farm this just by going through the stages. This is gonna be like your dupe section. So let's say you get these little like gemmies in order to get like more dupes of like a character, just like in Princess Connect. And Total Assault, this is going to be your raid shop, right? Which hasn't unlocked yet. And then Tactical Challenge is going to be your actual PvP. In case you're wondering, I haven't unlocked PvP yet because you need to be at 6-1. Right now, I'm at like 5-3. Because I haven't been spamming my stamina enough in order to level up my account in order for me to progress through these stages. Because a lot of them, they're just gated by the fact that your, you know, player level isn't like 30 or something, or you're just not strong enough yet. So it comes over time. Anyways, that's like a majority of like the beginner's guide. It really comes down to just spamming your stamina, at least doing 3 refreshes or upwards to 6 refreshes per day, depending on how confident you are with your account, in order to essentially raise your levels, and also in order to tackle difficult stages to unlock like different blueprints to get to like T3 and eventually like T4 gear. And really quick, just so you guys can see it, this is like in my notes and stuff, right? So if you scroll a little bit down, this is like the power of T4 gear. There's going to be like stat bonuses for essentially having them. So it's going to be important to essentially unlock this as soon as you can. So let's go ahead and jump back and do our summons for the day. That way we can essentially go through a couple of things. So while we're going through the summons, before we actually do that, there is one thing that I do want to talk about, because I know some of you will be like, hey Bork, what are the things that I should be pulling on? So this is actually going to be like the banners for EN. I'll leave links to this in the Google spreadsheets that I have right in the title screen. I won't leave it in like the description or whatever. And then this is going to be the JP banner. So far, we are sort of matching this in some ways. I think the next banner we're actually going to be getting is Aru, so that's going to be cool. We're actually getting Aru and Mashiro. I think Aru and Mashiro are pretty good, but you can see there's comments on them, like Mashiro is good for raid, and then Aru's good for raid, PvE, and PvP. So I guess Mashiro's like more for the event. There's some decent units. Haruna, she's like great for Mystic raids. She's probably like the best Mystic character that we can have DPS wise. And then we're gonna have future characters as well. So it's just sort of something to look into. There's a bunch of different characters, but a majority of the characters that we have right now, they're gonna be pretty good and pretty long lasting for most parts of the game. So this is gonna be a 3-star guaranteed. I don't have that. I just want to do a summon for the sake of a summon because I want to see if I can essentially get another character, and I don't recommend summoning on the Shiraneko banner or the current raid up banner. You could probably wait for the Aru banner if you want. I just want to do a summon because this stuff is fun. So, oh man, it's not purple. So that means we're not going to get anything. Let's just go ahead and do a G. Yeah, curse of G right there. Please give me something good. Just a couple of yellows. All right, that's good enough for me. That is some hope. And can I get like a Yuka or a dupe of one of my 1-star characters? Nice. So get a dupe of Suri. There's only one? You only get one for like pulling a 1 character, like a 1-star? What the heck, dude? Oh man, I wish I had like more dupes than that. All right, this character, Fuka, she's all right. Not really the greatest. Dude, this is robbery. I should get more than 1 shard for pulling like a 1-star because it takes so long. Wait, we have to talk about one more thing because I definitely missed it. It's super important and it's very similar to Princess Connect. Of course, we get another copy of Fuka. Very nice. So we got some summons right there. kind of irks me that our dupes and stuff don't really amount to more shards, but this is something that you have to do every single day. I implore you, because this is probably what's going to make Yuka such a better character and other characters better, is if you jump into your missions, please do not forget to do hard mode. You can see right here, essentially it gives you shards, and if I can get more Yuka shards, eventually she will be stronger than my Amy and other characters. So make sure to essentially go here, do your 3 sweeps every single day. She's gonna be like the Pecorine of Blue Archive or something like that. She's gonna be the tank that you want, and I believe there's other characters here that are also good. You guys can let me know down in the comments, but this is just an important section. Hard mode, don't sleep on it, and that's gonna be like a way for essentially free to play to survive in this game. That way you can essentially level up your characters, you have dupes and all these things. So this is something to like pay attention to. That way eventually your Yuka will be top tier, and this is why she's top tier. So I got like 9 out of my 80 shards that I need in order to upgrade her. And also one more thing, because I know people are probably going to look for it, these are like the rates in the game. So it's going to be 2.5% for a 3-star unit, and then 77.6 for, you know, a non 3-star. It's just something to take into account in case you're like, hey, what are the rates? 2.5%, is that low? That's the same thing as Princess Connect, so you be the judge of that one. But also just know the actual pity rate is much lower than Princess Connect. I don't think you need 300. Let me check that really quick. Let me fact check myself. Yeah, it's less, so you only need 200. Technically speaking, the recruitment points is a little bit better pity wise. Anyways, if you made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 27,500 subs, we're doing a giveaway. Thanks so much for watching. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next one.